Hey guys, you're probably working today on week 5, lesson 2. Respond and analyze the poetry. And so your first page 178. Basically, you're working on vocabulary. So word have denotations, and that is words that are found in the dictionary. So look it up in a dictionary if you have it there at your house. If not, you can Google it. If you can't do that, then just do your best to use your context clues for the denotation. And then the word in the center is the actual word. And then the connotation is how it was being used in, how are they related, okay? So a word that can have a positive, negative, or neutral connotation. So readers may have different specific connotations for some words depending on their personal experiences. So for example, the first one, a thud. Your answer on denotation would be a dull sound. Okay, that's what a thud is. Okay. The connotation is a thump, a crash, or a clunk. Okay, so that's just an example of a possible response that you could have. So that's your first page. On the check for understanding page, Jake was doing it earlier, so I was having to help him a little bit. What makes these 3 poems poetry? So your 3 poems that you read today, you just have to write the things that make these poems poetry. How do we know that they're poems? So that's how you answer number 1. Number 2, how does the words that they use in the poem affect the reader? So they use descriptions or comparisons or figurative language like similes and things like that can create an image in your mind. So that's what it's talking about. So you go through and see that. And then how would you adapt one of the poems to create a short story with most of the same information? Number 3. And basically, like if you were going to turn that concrete poem, A Day on the Boat, into a story, how would you do that? So basically, it's just trying to get you to look at that poem and how would you do that in a different way, okay? So if you were going to redo A Day on the Boat, how would you adapt it, make it different, okay? And then number 4, select one of the poems, tell what it's about, and describe the poet's choices. So for example, again, on the concrete poem that looks like a boat, then you're just going to tell what it's about, describe what the poet did. And we kind of already did that in class. That's why I picked this one. And so we talked about all 3 of those poems. So pick the ones you want, and then you give examples of the images, the strong images in the poem. So the things, after you read that poem, the pictures that you're getting in your head, you're going to talk about there. Okay, so that's just going to explain the first 2 pages. And then the 3rd page is examine poetic elements. And so basically, you are going to use text evidence to complete this graphic organizer and explain how the poem affected you as a reader, okay? So what did it do? What did the first poem do? You write it down and you explain what did it tell you about. And then on the next one, same thing. You wrote down the poem and then what effect did it have on you? The example is the I Love Mozart poem. They used onomatopoeia, okay, the sound words. So it makes you, the reader, focus on the sounds and actions inside the poem. So that's just a little rundown of the first 3 poems, or the first 3 papers that you were supposed to do today. That's page 178, 179, and 180. Okay, so We talked about these poems in detail together as a class. Both classes did that, so it should be kind of a review. But if you were having trouble with those 3 pages, then that is that's just a little bit of help for you. Okay?